Hey everybody, welcome to day 29, I believe it is, of my mental health journey. For those of you who aren't aware, essentially I document my day-to-day struggles with mental health, mainly anxiety, just with the hope of connecting with as many folks as possible, as well as providing a platform for people for whom I can't speak to share their stories and hopefully connect with more people in the process. So today, I was trying to think about what I wanted to talk about, and usually I talk about myself just because I can speak on my own experiences and whatnot. So I wanted to speak on my experiences as an extroverted introvert. And basically, as growing up and whatnot, like I've always found it very easy to make friends, maintain relationships with said friends, and connect with like people from all different walks of life. However, at my very core, I'm definitely an introvert. Like my battery's charged. Where I could spend a whole day alone, just by myself. I can entertain myself, like reading or you know, working on a variety of projects and whatnot. And I might talk to somebody on the phone or whatever. But like I'm cool with that. But at the same time, I'm cool to hop on a plane and go to South America or something like that. But I always just kind of thought about it because it's something that's been strange to me in the fact that like I came to the realization when I was having like a little house party one time and everyone was like outside, and I reached a point where I was socializing like a lot, and then I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna just like go into my room, shut the door, and just like listen to a song or two on my headphones just to like recharge the batteries because I literally just want to be alone for 5 minutes. And it's like such a strange reality being like that because I want to be really social, and sometimes I feel like I'm not social enough, and then other times I feel like I'm too social and I need to like get back to my roots of just doing me solo. And it's kind of something that's been that way my whole life. Like I've never had problems making friends. I love meeting new people. I love connecting with people, hearing their stories, sharing my stories with them. But just because I like doing that doesn't mean, and if you feel the same way, that doesn't mean you can't value your alone time. My alone time to me is sacred because 9 times out of 10, I'm doing something that I'm working on myself. I'm practicing Spanish. I'm trying to learn how to make a beat. I'm trying to, get more physically fit. Like I try to make the most of my time alone to justify being alone. If I'm not going to socialize with people and I'm just going to sit around and do nothing, I feel like I'm not getting anywhere, which goes on another thing that a lot of times I feel like I always have to be doing something. Even if I'm alone and just staying at the house, I don't necessarily have to, be out and about in the city or something like that. It could just be like, I have to be reading, I have to be doing X, Y, and Z. Like sometimes I feel like guilty if I'm just like watching Netflix and whatnot. And that's something I've been working on too, just trying to allow myself to be and not constantly having to be in motion. But getting back to the original topic, I feel like when I talk to people, a lot of people share the same sentiments that I have, and they feel like they're very social and whatnot, and I only see them in a social environment, so I view them as having social skills and all that. But deep down, you never know like how introverted someone is. We had a conversation amongst friends not too long ago about that, and I realized like some of my friends are actually introverts, and I thought I was the most introverted, and I mean, they kind of agreed with that. So I was right in that respect. But, people like at face value, if they're good at socializing, you just assume that they're extroverts. But in reality, they could be an extrovert or they could be an introvert. And one of my friends was saying how like her batteries recharge when she's with everybody. Whereas like for me, I need to charge my batteries in order to be with everyone, in order to be the best version of myself. So I then can be social and use all my social skills. So at the end of the day, we're both, going out and being social. It's just what we need to do beforehand. Whereas like she doesn't need anything. She's on go just like that. She sees people and like that charges her up. For me, like I want to have something to talk about. And in order to have something to talk about, I need to be working on myself. And when I work on myself, 9 times out of 10, I'm alone. And that's just how I am. I think I need to work on being a little less solitary. And I've alluded to it too in my prior videos that I didn't really talk about my problems to people. I just kind of kept them to myself. I figured that I could handle them myself. And sometimes I feel like, well, with Spanish, an example of that would be you have to be social because you have to speak with other people. You can practice as much as you want, but until you face to face with somebody start talking, like you're not going to get the most out of that. So that's helped me become like more social and force myself out of my comfort zone. But it's just something that I'm working on because I don't think it's bad that I'm an extroverted introvert at all. In fact, I think in a lot of ways it's great because it's helped me prove to myself time and time again that I can rely on myself. But there's also on the flip side been times where I relied on myself too hard and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Or I just didn't have a good perspective when all of my anxiety and negative thoughts were kind of, coming in on me. And so I think it's just like a double-edged sword, if you will. There's good things about it, there's bad things about it. But what you call yourself, introvert, extrovert, something in between, that's not inherently bad. It's just understanding like what makes you tick and understanding that there are some downsides to both of them and that if possible, you should work on them. And for me, it just happens to be that while I am very social and I have a lot of friends, a lot of times like I don't ask my friends for any help or any guidance or whatever because at the end of the day, I'm an introvert and I think I can just do it by myself. It's not even that I'm headstrong, it's just that I don't really think to ask people. I don't want to put my problems on people. I'd rather just do it myself because that's what I've been doing. But sometimes you have to look at what you've been doing and ask yourself like, is this legit? Is this getting me to where I want to be? Or should I just face my fears and talk about my problems with someone? Or anything. It doesn't have to be your problems. It could just be, like you wrote a poem or something and you're like, this is really great. I want to get it published, but I'm afraid to show people. Like just taking that like introversion and applying it in a more extroverted way. And that's kind of what I'm like, a lot of times like people think that I'm this like super outgoing type person, but it took me a while to get here. Like it took a lot of talking myself up and believing in myself and whatnot. Like that's just what it took for me. Some people are naturally born confident or they're just stupid and don't think about anything and they just don't care. I'm not envious of the second one, but for other people like me, like I feel confident now, but I had to work on it. Like it's a process and some people have it and they don't. So I would say I was even more introverted back in the day. And that's something that I felt like I needed to work on. But just because you're an introvert, it might work for you. Like it just happened to be in my situation that it made sense to, start reaching out and start, taking those leaps of faith and putting myself out there, ask that girl out, speak Spanish with a native speaker when I was like really bad because I knew I was going to make mistakes and I'm a perfectionist in a lot of ways and I was like afraid to make mistakes. And if you're doing it as an introvert, no one's gonna tell you you're making a mistake. So technically I might, be doing it right, until you start making mistakes, putting yourself out there, you're never really gonna get the most out of life. And that's at least in my perspective. But anyway, guys, I don't wanna ramble too much and just like put my experiences on you guys, but I just wanted to share my personal stories as far as being an extroverted introvert, kind of the process of me getting to that place. I feel a lot more extroverted than I used to be, a lot bigger of a risk taker and whatnot, but it's a process and you got to start somewhere. So for all of you folks out there that are trying to be more extroverted or maybe trying to be more introverted and you just don't know how to go about it, you're bored just being by yourself, find something that you love. And if you're too introverted, do that said thing with a bunch of people and you can, create a friend group with people with shared interests. Or if you find yourself to be way too extroverted and like you need to have a hobby or something, do some research, ask yourself what you love doing and then find a way to, make it a hobby of yours. And you can still do it with other people, but you can also do it by yourself. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna post this later tonight. I'm gonna try and drop a couple more videos this week. Just depends on if I have like content that comes to me that I think would be valuable to you guys. But anyway, I love you guys. I appreciate all the support and everything. I just hit like 500 views on my channel, which like I couldn't have dreamed about that. But I'm very thankful for everybody who's shared my stuff, downloaded my podcast, just taking the time to watch it, and taking the time to reach out to me to say something kind or provide an idea. I appreciate all of it. So I will post this later tonight, guys, but I hope you're having a great Thursday, and we're almost at the weekend. Not that it's really any different than the week during these days.